Hello everyone, Jeff Eccles here with The Lonely Vine. Thank you for joining me on the show. I have a fun wine tonight, kind of going back in memory lane for myself. But before we get to that, I wanted to take a moment to talk about a subject that seems to get talked about and then goes away, and talked about and goes away, and people bash on it and people praise it, and it's all over the place. And so why not chime in on myself? I'm talking about wine scores, the 100-point scale. You know, we all know it, we all recognize it, we all use it, even though a lot of people tell you they don't. You know, and I could sit here and bash it because it's easy to bash. It's, you know, it's a very subjective, one is subjective, but how can I place a minute number to it? What's the difference between an 89 and a 90-point wine? You know, the people that taste the wines, the bigger names that taste the wines, they usually taste it when it's in the barrel before it goes to bottle. They taste it in year X, and you don't drink it till drink year Y, and it's bottle aged, and blah, 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 blah. All kinds of things to bash them about, right? You know, but when we really look at wine scores, they are a very powerful tool that you use, that I use. I mean, if you have bottle A, bottle B, they're the same price, they're the same grape, and they both have a score. Well, yeah, the score is going to make a difference, right? You know, people mock people for using the labels. Well, I mean, if you don't have data points, how can you make a decision? You know, so. You know, and here's something that I've come to realize about wine scores, because you know, you'll see people that put wine scores out, and they'll say, well, you know, I give so many points for the sight of the wine, and so many points for the nose of the wine, and so many points for the palate on the wine, and then I combine it all together, or we have panels that get together and we rate them all together and average them out, and that's where the wine score comes from. And you know, for a long time I was like, how do you assign a number to it? And the way I look at it is this, or how I kind of rationalize it in my head. If you're when you go for a drive, when you're driving your car down the interstate, or down a side street, or down a main street, or wherever, you're not looking at the speedometer all the time. Maybe you glance at it every now and then, maybe you don't. Maybe you know your car or truck or minivan or whatever so well that you barely ever have to look at your speedometer to know how fast you're going. Well, it's the same thing with tasting, scoring wine. You taste enough 90-point wines that you don't need to say, I give it 5 points for the smell, I give it 22 points for the palate, and I give it 7 points for the sight. And that wouldn't even add up, because, you know, most wines, when they're being tasted, they start at 50 points. If they are fermented grape juice, they get 50 points. That's like a teacher saying, okay, Johnny's dressed today, he gets 50 points to start the day off. Good job, Johnny. So where was it? I don't even know. So you know, when you're tasting lots of wine, you're scoring lots of wine, you just get a feel for where your kind of palate is, where you're kind of rating the wines. But what does that mean for you? And I've said this before, and I'm getting on my soapbox to say it again. You know, you can look up wines on the internet. You know, there's plenty. You know, the Cellar Tracker. You know, you get lots of people going out there putting up scores, putting up reviews. So you get a nice aggregate of what the masses think of the wine. That's a nice little source to use. You know, plenty of places that sell wine that have lots of different scores. Plenty of pay sites free sites, magazines, and when it comes down to it though, what you need to do if you're using wine scores is find someone that's scoring wines that has a palate similar to what your palate is. And honestly, that's tough to do with the big sites, the big names. You know, I mean, maybe you like big, over the top, big jammy wines, and you like Robert Parker. You know, you see the scores at Robert Parker, and you know if he scores something good, you're gonna like it. Awesome. That's a great asset for you. But what I think the best thing you can do is find that shop. Find that shop in your town, in your city, that you go into, you start talking to them about wine, they give you some recommendations. If they tell you a wine that they like, you go home and try that wine and you like it, go back to them and they've tasted it in bottle, they've tasted what's in their store, they can point you to wines to try. I didn't expect to go this all arm flailing about this, but I did. And there you have it. And I'm done with talking about wine scores for today. I'm sure I'll talk about it again. But let's move on to the wine. So the wine I'm tasting today is a Sonoma wine, and it is the Selby 2005 Syrah. Now, you know, this one's been in my fridge for quite some time, and I got this one at a wine dinner, wine get together, and actually the winemaker Susie Selby was at that tasting. It was the first time I got a chance to meet her, first time I got a chance to really meet a winemaker. Very personable, great storyteller. Bought a case of wine that night. And then this past weekend, I had the opportunity to go to a different wine dinner, and Susie Selby was there for that one as well. It's been quite a few years, so you know, it was kind of you know, I was thinking about that when I was looking through the wines. I was like, you know, I still got a couple of these wines laying in here. I want to get one of these out and give it a try. Unfortunately, this 05 Syrah is not available anymore, so sorry for you. Hopefully it's going to be good for me. So I've already poured a bit of a glass. I wanted to let it breathe a little bit, get a little air into it, open up a little bit before I really got into it. So let's see what this one's got going on. You know, on the site, you can see that it has some good staining in the glass there. You know, and a little bit about this one. They really go for the Côte Rôtie kind of Syrah thing. So this one does have some Viognier in it, so we can expect, you know, a little bit more vibrant nose, a little bit more to the nose, maybe round out the palate a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. You know, sight-wise, really, you know, can't really see through it. It's got kind of that purplish kind of color to it. Nice glass staining, like I was saying before. Let's see what it has going on the nose. This one might take me a while. There's a lot going on this nose. First, you know, up top here, up above, you know, I do get some of those floral components, some of the darker plants, flowers, violet kind of thing going on. That is that Viognier shining through a little bit. But in the nose, man, there's a lot going on. There's, you know, there's definitely that meat component, that smoked bacon a sense in there. There's also there's a bit of Band-Aid You know, and there's you know, there's even some Bengay going on there. So, you know, there's some wild stuff in here. You know, I get a sense of that pepper. There's that meat component to it. There's also some fruit-wise, it's more of the dark fruits. You know, it's your blackberries. It's your there's some blueberry coming through, more like a blueberry jam kind of thing. Even a little bit of a woodsy kind of component coming through there. So a lot going on in this nose. Very interesting nose. Lots going on. Very much kind of that old world. You know, yes, there's fruit there, but there's a lot of those earthy components, a lot of different kind of components coming through. That's maybe not a big fruit over the top thing. Enough of the nose. Now enough of the nose. Now, let's move on to the palate. You know, I was a little worried that this may have gone past its life cycle a little bit, but it definitely has it. Still fresh, still vibrant. There's still some nice fruits coming through there. Definitely, again, the darker kind of fruits. The blackberry is kind of coming through in it. There is a little bit of a raspberry or cranberry kind of tartness coming through here. There's a nice finish to it. There's a bit of smoke, a little smokiness singing to me a little bit. You know, as it just lingers there, you know, I'm getting, you know, that smoke's coming through a little bit more. Tannins have really softened out, but they're there. Nice acidity level to it. You know, this is a really well-made, nice wine. You know, we're looking at 8 years so far. This one would have held up for another few years at least another few years. So, good stuff. I doubt you can find it, but if you can, I would say pick this one up. Check this one out. You know, you wouldn't be disappointed with it, but I don't know how much chance you have, but if you ever see it in somebody's wine fridge, in their cellar, tell them to pop that cork. Pop that cork. Let's see. Question for the show. What is one of your favorite Sonoma wines or wineries? Who are some of the producers that you enjoy the most coming out of Sonoma? Yeah, that should do it for me. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. I know I will. And until next time, everybody, cheers.